Okay, folks, now for our keynote speaker for today. Jason Fegan was the lead consultant, then team leader, and these days senior solutions architect for Kilimanjaro Consulting in Australasia. There's no one consultant in Australasia that has led more MYOB EXO solutions and more recently MYOB advanced solutions than Jason. And along the way, Jason's been proudly challenging himself and his teams that he runs to keep evolving, using radical or provocative thought and challenges to ensure that what's currently known as the way we do it or the right way to do it, the thought leadership he uses is to set himself up as the person that takes us into a better tomorrow through learning today, and not be scared of throwing himself at that and throwing the challenges at the people he leads. He is responsible for more than any other person in Australasia for the MYOB EXO solution and MYOB advanced solution than anyone else. So you're talking about the ultimate experience in the very product that you're using yourselves as the user groups here today. So for the ever-changing marketplace, the ever-changing technology platforms, and of course the ever-changing customer needs, Jason's a real radical thinker and yet a solid performer that puts in the solutions that actually will work for the very needs that that customer and the market at that time has. He led the team at MYOB to implement the biggest MYOB advanced solution to this point, a massive job over 2 years, and it was a great success. And MYOB speak very, very highly about that solution. But that's no wonder, because up to that point, Jason, as I say, had done hundreds and hundreds of the MYOB enterprise products, EXO and advanced. And so today, I hope that you hear what I've just said comes true in what Jason's about to tell you, and I'm sure it will. So welcome, Jason, to User Groups. We're looking forward to your presentation.
All right, thanks, Grant, and thanks everyone for allowing me to speak to you today. So maybe a little bit about me first. I've been with KC for 15 years or so. The first 10 were with EXO, the on-premise ERP, and then the last 5 or so years have been with Advanced, the cloud-based ERP. And over that time, I've had the privilege to work with a couple of hundred businesses and their owners. I've been allowed to understand their workflows, processes, and most importantly, their competitive advantages. And I've been blown away by how business owners, who are always extremely busy, the hub of the company that everything flows through, always seem to make time when it comes to their systems. I think they understand the importance of what a system can do and what it can bring. Now, I started out implementing the system end-to-end, later moved into more of a solution architect role for each of the products. In both EXO and Advanced, I started with a team of just 1 or 2, and somehow we managed to build the EXO team to 30 or 40 consultants, and then did it all again with Advanced to about 30 or 40 consultants as well. So I now focus my time mainly as a solution architect, predominantly really about trying to understand the current systems and helping manage a path to the new system. And it's been really within that space that I've come to see that the underlying constant is in fact change and innovation. And from my perspective, from a systems perspective also, innovation is all about change. So I've learned during that time that change is really about focusing on how to merge people and their processes, charting that journey from what is to what will be from the user's perspective. Work with businesses with 5 employees, some with 500 employees. And when you boil it right down, the similarities are remarkable. It all comes down to the people and embracing change for innovation. So today I'd like to share some of my experiences on that journey, our approach to implementation, which has a focus on change, and the intersection of innovation and change, at least from an ERP perspective. So before I get into too much detail, I wanted to quickly preface that my personal perspective of innovation, at least from an ERP space, is not about radical change, groundbreaking technology, the Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX. Instead, it's about continual evolution. So to me, innovation is not about dramatic revolution of a business. You've built successful businesses to where they are today over a large number of years. So innovation is about embracing continual evolution of those tried and true processes. It's about extending and adopting new ways of doing business to adapt to the current and changing market conditions. And to me, that is what innovation is all about. Innovation, however, does require change. And to quote an old proverb, the only constant in this universe is change. And that really means embracing change to stay successful. And that innovation is like when we moved or changed from fax to email, email to e-invoicing. Innovation is about that continual evolution of your business processes. And for me, that's where systems can help, by assisting that business in change and evolving with that business. So from our own perspective, I guess you could say Kilimanjaro, a large part of who we are, is a change management business. Sure, we implement and support ERP systems, but at its core, it's about helping our clients manage change. So that's why at Kilimanjaro, we evolved and developed our methodology over quite a number of years. It's a way to provide a framework for change and introduce that at a relatively low risk. So this methodology applies to everything we do, from new implementations to support to business process improvement. And at its core is that first box there, the design phase. This is how we embrace change in a controlled approach. The design phase is about a current state and a future state, ensuring we have an understanding of the current processes. So when designing new processes, we understand what that change is and the impact of that change. This has to be done collaboratively, as success in the ERP world is about utilizing the systems to strengthen your competitive advantage. Now, when done in a controlled manner, change can be embraced and harnessed to provide that innovation to help your businesses succeed. So talking about change, in my experience, the biggest risk and why all too often projects may not succeed is because there's not a basis of shared understanding. Getting that right is not an easy thing. Too often I hear from business owners saying that my business is simple. And well, that might be true for anything you've been doing for 10 years. It may be not that way looking in from the outside. Dare I say, same for the consultant. Someone who's been using the system for quite a number of years finds the system simple, but it may not be that way to a business owner who is just being introduced to it. So it's by trying to reach a place of shared understanding where the business understands the system, the consultant understands the business, that it provides a basis of which change can be enacted and managed. So this does require some flexibility. From one perspective, it's about understanding what is core to the business, what needs to be preserved. On the other hand, it's about leveraging and leaning into the strengths of the system, understanding how it was built and its intended use. And it's by finding this middle ground, this balance, that I've seen a lot of successful deployments. Some changes to the business processes, some changes to the system, resulting in some innovative outcomes. Now, this is not easy. And we have a saying internally that until a consultant and a client reach a place of shared understanding, they are probably talking different languages. So let me try and explain with an example. If I was to ask you to think about what back orders mean to you, how they might be innovated, what would that look like? How would that change go? I could almost guarantee that everyone might have a slightly different thought on the matter. To some, it might be an entire order that is held and cannot be shipped. To others, it might mean a partial order. Some lines are fulfilled, some could not be shipped. Yet others, it might mean an entirely new order of just the lines that could not be shipped. This difference in interpretation occurs when implementing a new process in software. The business owner is talking about the back order, and in their mind, they have a completely different concept to what the consultant is conceptualizing in theirs. If this is embraced, and if you don't embrace change, you cannot innovate. So some of you might have seen the iconic tree swing cartoon, and I think it goes a long way to explaining why a shared platform of understanding is so critical to enacting change. So this might be a little bit controversial, but there's a saying in our industry that a customer only utilizes 10 to 20% of their software's capability. Now, whilst that is mostly true, the name of the game, in my opinion, is not about trying to utilize 100% of the software's capabilities, but to ensure you are leveraging the most out of that 10 or 20% to support your competitive advantage. Sure, you can innovate your accounts payable and your fixed asset depreciation, but I would suggest that might not be the most valuable use of your systems. The companies I've seen with the greatest amount of success when it comes to embracing change and innovating is focusing on the revenue side of their businesses, continually optimizing that revenue growth aspect, adopting and adapting to the changing market conditions. A good example of this was actually my time with MYOB, where we introduced MYOB Advanced into the enterprise division of MYOB themselves. So the enterprise division of MYOB was about 25% the size, 25% of the entire MYOB organization. The ED, or enterprise division, had a phenomenal amount of technical knowledge. However, due to their rapid growth over the years, they had a lot of disparate systems, a lot of shared service departments, things that are quite common with very large organizations. Their processes and systems were developed for on-premise annual billing maintenance, and they really needed to evolve to a cloud-based software as a service model. The systems were simply limiting their growth because they were designed under a different framework, a different way of doing business. Now, the enterprise division had already expanded into new channels and seizing new market opportunities using the MYOB Advanced product, but it was being really limited. They weren't able to adapt and change to the market conditions. So they had a choice. They could continue doing what they kept doing that was previously very successful for them, or they could innovate their way through change. And that's exactly what they did. Now, they needed a bit of help in mapping the end-to-end processes through 6 different departments, countless systems, and they needed to retain not only what worked well, that had been perfected over a number of years, the on-premise, but they needed to support an entirely new model, a SaaS model. Now, this definitely was a huge undertaking, and it meant moving away from the legacy systems used by the wider organization, then going it alone. But the enterprise division had a culture of innovation. They adopted new technologies. They were happy and confident to stand on their own 2 feet. And so the end result was utilizing MYOB Advanced to support both billing models, effectively allowing them to double their revenue without any additional operational staff. They're able to quickly adapt and pivot to rapidly changing markets, introduce new concepts to the market, and the system supports those changes, allowing them to leverage their competitive advantage. Fun fact, they only use about 4 modules of MYOB Advanced, about 20% of the system. Being able to talk to you today, I think, allowed me the opportunity to reflect on some of my experiences over the years. So I wanted to briefly share some of that. I've seen businesses on either sides of the change spectrum when implementing a new ERP. I've worked with those that absolutely avoid change, effectively customizing the new system to behave and operate like their previous system. And this avoidance of change is effectively like decoupling the gears of the system, leaving holes and cracks where transactions get stuck. And the client is in this perpetual challenge with the system, effectively going against the tide. And we all know how difficult and tiring that can be. I've also seen change embraced a little too freely without caution. And clients are effectively throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. It's usually because they don't have time or understand how a system can support them. But they simply adopt whatever processes the system has out of the box. And too often this results in a staggering amount of change. And it's the people who seem to get lost in that change. So these clients get swept away with the tide, find themselves lost at sea, feeling overwhelmed by the system, completely lost, losing confidence, and retracting from that change. So it's the companies that I've seen succeed are the ones that find that balance, that take the time to understand how the system is designed to operate, the flow of the tide, so to speak, and map their current processes and work out how they can be enhanced by that flow. This is the process of the design phase I mentioned earlier, taking the current way of doing things, mapping them against a new way of doing it, and trying to innovate while you're doing that. And this isn't just a once-off thing during an implementation, but continually, constantly. Perhaps every upgrade might be a good opportunity. Keeping what works, but leaning into the new, embracing the change, ensuring that 20% of the system that you are utilizing is as efficient as possible. Now, each company has a different amount of change that is right for them. There's no right or wrong. And as I said in the beginning, it's all about the people, what your people can handle. But it does fundamentally require being open to change in order to innovate. So what I have seen is that without change, there cannot be innovation. And with too much change comes a very high risk. And it's about embracing that change as an evolution and utilizing the system to support that. And most importantly, bringing the people along with you on that journey. Thank you very much.